Hi. Okay, he's coming around again. Let me know if you can hear it. Maybe he's not as close this time. Could you hear it? Can you hear me? Okay, good. Okay. I didn't do the button thing because I didn't know. I didn't think there was a video for that, so sorry. Hi. As you're joining us, just pop in where you are joining us from. Just pop in where you're joining us from. I love to see where people are joining us from in our time together. I live in upstate New York, so enjoying some warm weather. Austin, Texas, York, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, Ohio, another Massachusetts. Welcome, welcome. Oh, someone from Albany, not too far from me. Chicago, welcome. Welcome, welcome. So good to have you guys here this evening. Kentucky, welcome. We will get started right at 8 o'clock. And I have my friend Melanie here with me. So she is going to drop in some links. So if you don't have the workbook yet, no big deal. She's going to drop that in there and you guys can grab it just to help you follow along tonight. Michigan, second round of nasty storms are going to be rolling around any minute. Oh no, I hope you stay safe. We have actually had a pretty dry summer here, which is not like central New York at all. But I hope you're safe there. Another Texas, a little earlier for you guys. To tell you, this is late for me. 8 o'clock, that's late for me. But I'm happy to be here with everyone. If you're just joining us, pop in where you are coming from. I just like to see where everyone's joining us from. And then we'll start right at 8 o'clock. If you don't have the workbook yet, I just dropped the link in there so you can grab it and have it with you as you're going through the training tonight. Oh, snuggled up with your computer, cat, and workbook. Oh, yay! That sounds like a great thing to do when it's yucky out. Utah, Virginia, Ohio, from all over. Awesome. Couple more minutes and we'll dive right in. It's so good to have you all here. Thank you for joining me. Rhode Island. Wow, we've got a big, diverse group here today from lots of different areas. It's good to have you all here. Think it's been hot everywhere, but it has feel like it has been so hot in central New York. But I'm not complaining because I live in one of the snowiest cities in the country. So, hello from Columbia, but you live in New Jersey. Oh, so you're doing this on vacation. Look at you. Kansas City. Oh, I read that too fast. I saw Paris, Texas, and I got a little jealous because I thought it was just Paris, France. New Jersey. Awesome. Okay, we're gonna get started in 1 minute. I'll drop in the link one more time in case you didn't get to grab it. So you can have it along with you during our journey. It definitely will help out. The people from yesterday really said that it helped them. So make sure you have that workbook. Washington, Chicago. Awesome. Welcome, welcome. Okay, let's get started because it is 8 o'clock and I like to be mindful of the time as I'm sure you guys are as well. So, before we dive into the training, you just told me where you're from, but now tell me what you teach or your role in the school if you aren't a teacher. I just like to get a gauge on who's here and what your role is in the classroom. I love that we have a lot of paraprofessionals that were joining us, related service providers, and then obviously teachers. Kindergarten teacher, pre-K teacher, K2 self-contained. Okay. Some preschool teachers here. Oh, a couple of preschool teachers here. Resource teacher. Got a whole variety here. A kindergarten to second grade self-contained autism teacher. Awesome. Great to have you. K2 behavior development classroom, and it's your first year. Well, this is such a good training for you. I think you're going to get a lot out of it. Third grade co-teacher in a dual language school. So cool. Assistant, teaching assistant. Awesome. Self-contained English teacher. Very cool. Wow, there's so many people here of different expertise, and I think that that just makes the conversation really rich. And I love all the questions and the different angles that you guys come from, and I value all of those. So thank you. So I'm going to show you tonight how to plan and create the exact roadmap to stop any problem behavior. And I have an extra special way to say thank you for staying on with me all the way to the end. And I'm going to give you something that's brand new, a tool that I made that I'm also going to show you how to use in this training called the Behavior Navigator. And again, I hope that you have that workbook with you because I think it's going to be really helpful. And I also like just to remind everyone if you can possibly turn off all your distractions because it's so easy to get distracted and spend 10 minutes just scrolling. Um, so if you can do that, that would be great for me. And before we get into everything, I want to know why did you show up today? And if I had to guess, I think it could be one of these reasons. You might be tired and have used all the tricks that are in your bag to deal with problem behaviors, but they keep happening. Or maybe you want your classroom to run smoothly this year and prevent behaviors before they ever even occur. Or maybe, I'm sure a lot of you know some about behavior, but you are really ready to dive in to change the way your classroom is run once and for all. So drop a number in the in the chat and let me know which one are you. Because either way, you are fully committed to a change. And this training is going to help you stop behavior once and for all. So tell me if you're one, tired and ready for a change, ready to prevent behaviors before they ever even happen, or you know some about behavior and want to learn more. Awesome. Oh, Megan, she wants to get to the root cause of behavior. You are in the right place, girl. All right, we have a lot of all of the above, lots of twos. I know if we could prevent them before they even happened, our life would be so much easier, right? Okay, good variety here. I would like more peace in my classroom. Yes, me, I can definitely understand that. Um, with extreme behaviors. Yep, this will help with the extreme behaviors and the more minor ones. Awesome. I love that you guys are so honest with me and that a lot of you are like, I'm all three of them. I get it. Behavior has changed in the last few years. It really has. And there's more things than ever on our plate as educators, and it's hard. So I hope that you get a lot of good information out of this webinar. So, whatever your reason for being here, I am so glad that you are. And I know that your students are so lucky to have you as a teacher. You are here, and most of you are on your summer break, and you guys are devoting an hour to learn more to help your students. So, just a little bit about me so you know who's talking to you tonight. First off, my name is Abby. I am the face behind Mrs. Mo's Modifications. And this picture in the middle is me and my little family. I have a son, he's a little bit older now, he's two. And we are actually adding to our family in a few weeks. We're having a little girl. And then I have my two dogs, my firstborns, my real firstborns. I couldn't not show you guys them. And then this other picture I have is probably the picture I'm most proud of. This picture is of me crossing the Boston Marathon finish line in a torrential downpour. And you can see the giant smile on my face. I was so proud of it. I was feeling so confident. That's the feeling that I want you guys to leave here tonight with. I want you to feel confident that you crossed this line and you are just ready to go for the new year. And so, just so you know that I'm not some random person, talking about behavior tonight. Who else am I and what makes it that I know about behavior? Well, currently I am a behavior intervention specialist in my school district. I have been in the same district for 11 or 12 years. And so before I was in this role, I was a special ed teacher in the district for 10 years. And I was in co teaching classrooms, self contained classrooms, resource types of classrooms, so a wide variety. I have now, since been in this role, I've helped to support and change the behavior of hundreds of students. I have to tell you, it's so rewarding. And I have a really robust background knowledge. I am a board certified behavior analyst, but I'm also trained in positive behavior intervention supports and trauma informed practices, just to name a few of them. And I'm very passionate about bringing all of that together to help influence how I support teachers and students. So you might be thinking, Abby, that is a lot of behavior stuff. Why are you interested in it? Where did your passion come from? Well, because I was once in your shoes. It was my fourth year of teaching, and I was in an integrated co taught classroom. So I had students with IEPs and typical students all in a classroom with a co teacher all day long. And in that classroom, I had students with some severe autism with some behaviors, with students who have experienced trauma and had significant behaviors, students who had impulse control, and it was so challenging. And I was just trying to throw out any intervention that I had, and it was more like putting a band aid on a big issue. So after that year, I knew I could do better, and I ended up going back to school. And I learned that there's actually a 60-year knowledge gap between the research that's done on behavior and what's actually practiced in schools. So that has brought me to be so passionate to help other educators learn about this to change what's happening in their classroom as well. So tonight we are going to learn all about the getting to the root cause of behaviors. We'll spend most of the evening talking about creating a roadmap for stopping challenging behaviors. And then we'll touch upon some actionable strategies that you can use from day one. And I know some of you are starting very soon, so hopefully you can use some of these strategies. I also want to tell you that I am going to be giving away a $10 gift card to Teachers Pay Teachers. As if you share on social media, in a story, in a post, just be sure you tag me so I can see it. And I'll choose one person and they will get a $10 gift card so they can go shopping. All right, let's dive in. There is no magic wand to fix behavior. But you can systematically and strategically use proven techniques to prevent problem behavior before they ever even occur. And ultimately, this is going to increase academic achievement in your classroom, which is what our whole goal is. So let's talk about our roadmap for the next 45, 50 minutes. We're going to start off by finding the root. We will again spend most of our time drawing the map, and then we'll dive into strategies that work. Now, at the end, we're going to talk about some extra support if you feel like you need some more. And we're going to talk about any questions that you might have. So, if you have questions, feel free to pop them in during the training. And my friend Melissa, Melanie, who's here, will grab them and I will answer them all at the end. So, are you ready to learn the solution to all problem behavior? Let's start off by finding the root. It's not about the symptom, so we have to start changing the way we think about behavior. I like to relate it to, say you had strep throat. If you take Tylenol, it's going to make you feel a little bit better. You might not be able to eat some things. If you have a fever, it might bring it down. But ultimately, it's probably not going to fix the strep. You need the right diagnosis or to get to the root of that sore throat to be able to get the correct treatment that matches. And the same is for behavior. We get so focused on what behavior looks like, and it's so much more than that. So often I get asked, Abby, I need an intervention for a student who's hitting me. And I would say, there isn't just one intervention for a student who's hitting you. This is just the symptom. Two students might be hitting for very different reasons. And I think of it this way. You just saw that I say used because I am 8 months pregnant. I used to be a very big runner. I just love the way it felt. I love to do races. But someone who's running a road race and someone who's in the forest running away from a bear, they're running for two very different reasons, right? But they look the same. So even though that might seem like a silly example, it really defines why we can't get stuck on what behavior looks like, even in our classroom. I absolutely love this visual. So if you haven't seen this before, there's an iceberg right in the middle, and the top that's poking out is, only like 1/3 of what you can see on the iceberg. And these are the behaviors that you can actually see: the running, screaming, swearing, ripping things off the walls, all of those problem behaviors, whether they're really big or small. And what you don't see is everything underneath: the anxiety students might have, their need for connection. Maybe they are left alone a lot. Maybe they've experienced trauma or are hungry. You can't see those things, and that's really the bulk of the iceberg and what is so important. So, we're going to go over this really quickly. There are four reasons why behavior occurs. So, there are four roots that you can relate all behavior back to. The first one is attention. So, it could be seeking attention, whether it is from peers or from adults. And sometimes it doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. I have a toddler at home, and I know he doesn't care if I give him a big reaction and I'm angry with him or I'm being silly. He just likes the attention. Same goes for our students, some of our students. The next reason is escape. So, trying to get out of an area, usually a task or demand, trying to get away from someone, gaining access to a tangible. So, say you have a snack in the corner and they want that snack, they're going after it, or they want that toy that their friend has. So, they're going to push them down. Gaining access to a physical item. And then a sensory. So, maybe a student has a headache, and I have seen this a lot, and they start hitting their heads to try to get that feeling to go away. That is a sensory behavior. So, when you determine the correct why, it's going to make your roadmap easier and more effective. So, tell me in the comments, have you ever tried an intervention and have it be a complete flop? As you tell me in the comments, I want to tell you a quick little story. One time I had this student and he kept leaving the class, and it was always when he had to do independent work. So our first guess was, oh, he must be trying to get out of doing the work. That's pretty obvious. Now, this was way back before I knew about the roadmap. And we put an intervention into place that was he has to do his work. Even if it meant he was out in the hall with an adult, any adult that was available, he had to do that work. And guess what? He didn't stop running out of the room. It actually increased. And finally, one day, I was like, maybe he wants to be out there and just wants the adult attention and doesn't care about doing the work. So, this is why having that mismatch and not getting the right route resulted in a flop of an intervention. Oh, and I see so many of you are saying yes, at least 40 times a day. I totally get feeling like that. I remember feeling that way too, but you're not going to after tonight. Okay. So, this is the true power behind the behavior roadmap. So, let's move into actually drawing our map. So, I want you to stick with me with this because we're going to bounce around a little bit. And this is why I said having your workbook would be very helpful. So, we're going to start off with what I like to call the simple view of behavior. And a lot of what I like to do is compare it to the science of reading. And I say that because there is such a push for science of reading, and there truly is a science of behavior. So we're going to start off with just like there's a simple view of reading, we're going to talk about a simple view of behavior. So the first one, we're going to start right in the middle of our map. And we're going to start in and zoom in, and then we're going to zoom out. So the first one is the target behavior. You have to know what you are trying to intervene with. So I know you might have a student who has 10 different behaviors you want to target, but you can't target them all necessarily. So I always suggest choose the one that is the most disruptive to your class right now. And then you need to define the behavior. You need to make sure it's observable so you can see it. You can actually see it happening. If you're saying a student is just not listening, you can't really see that. You can't tell that that's happening. And then making sure it's measurable so you can actually collect some data around it. And I think that you guys are all probably pretty good with this because it's just like our IEP goals with reading or math. I also like to relate it to sometimes people like to say, oh, their target behavior is a tantrum. Now, as someone who has seen many behaviors, if a student is just whining at their table, refusing to do their work, I might not call that a tantrum and intervene the way that they want me to intervene because I just have a really high tolerance for problem behaviors. But if I was a gen ed teacher in the classroom by myself with 24 other students, that whining is going to be a big issue. And they might define the tantrum a little bit differently. So that's why you really want to be clear with your definition on what the target behavior is. Anyone who reads it should know what the behavior is without question. So they don't have to worry, ooh, was that just a behavior? Was that not? Did they just call out? Did they not? It should be really defined. And that can take some time. So then we're going to back up to a step right before the target behavior. So I know it looks like we're going backwards, but stay with me. We're going to back up to antecedents, or otherwise known as a trigger. Because if we could stop behavior before it ever even started, it would make our classroom and our lives so much easier. So when we say antecedents or triggers, it's what happens right before the behavior occurs. And this is key, it has to be directly related. So sometimes something might happen and you're not sure if it was directly related. You really want to be sure because there's going to be a lot of things happening in your classroom. You want to be sure that whatever you are talking about with a trigger had a direct impact on the behavior. And it might take some observations before you are able to pinpoint it. Some examples can be a task assigned. You ask a student to do a piece of paper, or maybe a specific person present, whether it be a peer or maybe another adult comes into the classroom. Or maybe it could be the noise level. Just this year, I was observing a student who was in sixth grade and they were watching Percy Jackson. And it was a student who had the diagnosis of autism and he was loving it. He loved Percy Jackson. It was so exciting to see him really engaged in the lesson and then the movie. So we're watching it, and all of a sudden there was this scene where water shot out and it was a little bit loud. And he got up, started yelling, and he ended up leaving the building. So that was pretty clear that it was the noise level that triggered his behavior. That's just one example of many. Okay, so we have the target behavior. We bump back to the antecedents or the triggers because it's always easier to prevent behaviors. But what happens when those problem behaviors actually happen? We're going to now move to consequences because you and I both know that behaviors are still going to happen. Now, when we talk about consequences, this is going to challenge your thinking a little bit. I want you to think of it just as what happens following a behavior. Doesn't matter if it's punitive, it could be punitive, but it doesn't have to be. I just want you to think of it as what happens, in time. A student does this, what happens immediately after? If they call out, are their friends immediately laughing at them? That is the consequence that we are talking about. So those examples are peer tension, calling out and all the students look at you. Or maybe you call or the student calls out and you reprimand them and you say, "Raise your hand." That's getting your attention. Or maybe they get sent to the office because they're being so disruptive and unsafe. They get sent to the office, and maybe their goal was to get out of the classroom, to escape being in there. So that's what we mean by consequences. It doesn't have to be punitive, but it could be. All right. So we have our basic before the antecedents, the during, the target behavior, and the consequences. But what happens when your student walks in and you just know it's going to be one of those days? It's just going to be one of those days. You know this. And they come in a mood. I think about it as in the mornings, I'm all ready for the day. I'm in my nice dress clothes, and my toddler son throws his breakfast on me. I am not going to come into school in the best moods. Well, there's a name for those, and that's called a setting event. And this is anything that makes the behavior more or less likely to occur. And these could be examples like lack of sleep, students being hungry, fight with the parents. And these are good for you just to keep in the back of your mind because you might intervene differently. For example, if your student is always coming in hungry and they are then easily triggered by just asking them a simple question, you are going to intervene by helping getting them something in their bellies as opposed to just diving in with that work. So this is more just for your knowledge base to be more aware that there are things that are going to happen outside the classroom that are 100% going to impact the behavior inside of your classroom. So, all of this, the far before, the right before, the behavior, and the consequences, it leads us to getting the crucial piece of this, which is the function or the why the behavior is occurring. If we get it wrong, our interventions might not work. So, remember, there's four different types of functions or reasons why behavior can occur: attention, trying to get away from something like escape. They're trying to get access to a physical thing or maybe a sensory. So, knowing this function is so important because it helps get the intervention to match that behavior. And I know that this can be a tricky part, and because it's so important, the behavior navigator is the tool that you're going to need for this. So, what it is, it's a very condensed version, but you have 10 questions, and there's going to be typical scenarios asked to you about what might happen during your day. And then there's A, B, C, and D questions or answers that you will pick which one relates mostly to your student, which one you think that they would engage in or they do engage in. At the end, you'll total them up. This will then help you figure out what function it most likely is, along with a couple of interventions that you could possibly use. Now, I call this the simple view of behavior because so often our map stops here. Now, this is a great place to start, don't get me wrong. um, and so we want to continue to push ourselves and our students. So that's why I have up the ante, and now you can see we're moving on top. That we have to think of a goal behavior. And what this means, and it's going to be a little challenging, but it is the typical or the expected behavior of typical peers their age. So, for example, if your target problem behavior is that the student is ripping up their paper every time the assignment is presented, the goal behavior would be to complete that assigned worksheet because that's what you would expect of any other student in your classroom. That's why you gave it out, right? Now, stick with me here. Then we would hopefully want them to get that typical reinforcement, whatever the other students are also getting. So, say for that work, you give them a piece of the paper, they complete it, and they get praise from their teacher, and they are content with just that. That's our goal, right? So, we want it to be really whatever is happening naturally in the classroom. But I know this is a huge, huge gap. So I like to think on the left side is our target behavior, our target problem behavior. And on the right is our goal behavior that we are expecting of a typical student. That is a huge gap, especially for our students. You know, we have students that are nonverbal, we have students that are engaging in these really severe behaviors. And that's a really big ask. So for that student who's ripping up the paper, that's a huge ask to get them from ripping up a piece of paper to doing an entire worksheet independently. And we can't just go from one to the other. The reason I love this visual is because every little rung on this bridge is a baby step that we need to take to teach the students how to get to that ultimate goal behavior. So that leads us to the last part of our behavior roadmap, which is that replacement behavior. And these are those baby steps in getting to that desired behavior. So let's just continue on with that student and ripping up the paper. So that student might need a variety of replacement behaviors or replacement skills. Maybe they need to be taught a coping strategy when they get upset because you know they can do it, they just perceive it as too difficult. Maybe they just want to get out of the task. So instead of asking them to do the whole paper, you ask them to do just one problem. Or maybe they want your attention. So you are going to sit with them and have them sit next to you and complete the worksheet sheet before they can do it independently. But whatever replacement behavior you choose, it needs to serve the same function as the problem behavior. And that is so crucial for this roadmap to be successful. So I know that there's a lot on here. This should all be in your um, workbook. So let's go through it really quickly. So we're going to start at number one, which is that green box right in the middle. That's your target problem behavior. Whatever is causing you to pull your hair out. Then it's always easier to stop behaviors before they happen. We know this. So we want to back up and look at those triggers. What's happening right before the behavior occurs? Then we're going to pop back over to the last green square. What happens right after the behavior occurs? What are they getting out of it? Are they getting out of the work every time? Are they getting their peers to look at them? What's happening? Then you always want to think about the very beginning, the setting events in pink. What's happening maybe outside the classroom that could be impacting inside the classroom. And that all leads to the function, the why it's happening. And that's important because then you need to think about the goal behavior, what you expect of typical peers, and that typical reinforcement. And then finally, you're going to look at those replacement behaviors, those baby steps to get you along the way that serve the same function. So if your student is trying to get out of doing the work, you want that replacement behavior to serve the same function. Just like if a student's trying to get out of the work, you could give them the break cards that you were sent just for signing up for this training. So that is one resource and tool you already have. Now let's talk about some strategies that work. You have this great map and you're thinking, okay, this is great, but now what? You have to figure out where to intervene. And there are a few different places that you can intervene on your map. So we're going to talk about a few of those tonight. So the first are those antecedents or the triggers. So, like I've been saying, if you can stop it before it even happens, that's the best case scenario. To not even have to deal with a tantrum or a desk flipped over or a student yelling, that would make your day so much easier. And I like to think of it as modifying those triggers. So we know we can't possibly avoid triggers all day long because that would be exhausting. It feels like you're walking on eggshells. However, if you can identify the same trigger that's happening over and over and over again, you can modify it. So, for example, if we think of that student, we'll go back to the ripping up the paper. The antecedent or the trigger would be the direction that they are given to do the worksheet. So, one intervention, there are many, but one intervention that you can use for this is a visual schedule. Show them the tasks that they need to do before they get to something maybe more exciting during their day. So if you are modifying it so they only have to do maybe half the worksheet, write that on there or make a picture of it if they are not able to read it. But you want them to be really aware of what you are expecting of them before they can move on with their day. When you have it written on there and students know it's coming, they can start to prepare a little bit for it. And it can reduce some of the anxiety that could be underlying some of these behaviors as well. I know I am so heavily reliant on my Google Calendar, and I also have, sticky notes, and I am a neurotypical adult. So we want to think that if adults rely on their visual schedules, students do too. It's just like your plan book or your grade book, you have visual schedules as well. The next thing you can do is I want you to start thinking about behavior similarly to academics. You can teach students new skills, and many times they are lacking in that knowledge base. They don't have these skills, and you need to teach them. And it will help them get to that goal behavior that you are trying to get them to. So maybe you have that student and you know that they can do the work. They're ripping up the paper, but you know they are more than capable of doing the work. However, sometimes they might perceive it as too challenging and get overwhelmed by their own emotions. You can do a few things and you can teach them how to manage their emotions. You can use calming strategies such as taking deep breaths, and this is one that can help many students. But you also know that some students, as soon as you say maybe take a deep breath, they're going to lose their marbles. That is why when you registered, there was another page that you could buy the self-management task boxes. And if you got those, you have now so many strategies and tools that you can use with your students. Um, so that is a great way. I'll drop the link in if you did not grab those. But those are another great way to teach some coping strategies to prevent those problem behaviors. Now, another place you can intervene are the consequences. So, what do you do when behavior does happen? Again, we know it's going to happen. It's impossible for it not to. So, planning what to do when behavior does happen helps you respond and not react. Many times we are in reactive mode. We have to teach all of the things, right? We have to teach social skills, reading, math, and then a behavior happens and we just react. And that is 100% understandable and common. But when you are planning and you have a plan about what to do when a student has a behavior, you yourself are going to be able to stay calm. You'll feel more confident and you'll be able to, again, respond appropriately as opposed to react. So, if we again go to that example of a student ripping up their paper, the function or the reason why is, for example, they might be trying to escape the demand. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that for every student ripping up their paper, they're trying to escape the demand. But for this example, we're going to say that it is. So, what do you do? So, maybe this student, if you keep forcing that paper on them, they are going to tip over the table, run out of the building. You obviously don't want that. Maybe you can remove the demand, do some of your calming strategies that you have been working on. And when they're calm, you can reintroduce it. So they know that even though they are frustrated, they have to get calm and they still are responsible for doing their work. That holds them accountable and it helps you not to get them so escalated that it ruins your whole lesson. So, tell me in the comments, how are you feeling after learning about this behavior roadmap? How do you feel about tackling behavior this year? Do you feel like you understand how there are many different aspects that play into behavior? And really, it's not just about those punitive punishments. Um, because I know that a lot of people are really focused on that. And, we do have to hold kids accountable 100%. But this is just a different way of kind of looking at it. So tell me in the comments how you're feeling after learning all about your behavior roadmap. Let's see. Oh, Emma, love the phrase planning helps you respond, not react. Yeah, it helps. It really does. And I think just thinking of that can help you um, as you tackle some problem behaviors? Oh, feeling more prepared. Good. That makes me so excited. Um, let's see. Sensory needs are still difficult. Yes, they are. And we did obviously I did not touch on them that much because we only had an hour. But yes, that is so true. The setting events are most difficult for littles because they can't always tell us. You are right. You are right. But sometimes you can tell just based on their mood that maybe today you can't push them as much. I have talked with a lot of really young kids that come in and you just know something happened that morning and they can't tell you. And you're right. Um, but maybe you know that instead of pushing them a little bit further that day, you back off, you give them more choices, things like that. But that is very true. All right. Um, one more. Let's see. The roadmap is a nice way to break it all down into manageable parts. Good. I'm so glad. Good. That's what it should do. Should give you your exact roadmap. All right. But here's the secret to getting it to work every single time because it can. You know your students are all very different, and you need to have actionable strategies that work for your individual students. So, what is your next step from here? You have this foundation, you did the hard work, you showed up today, and you clearly want to have a change in behavior in your classroom. You learned about finding the root, drawing the map, and actionable strategies that you can use to intervene. And most importantly, you have the roadmap. You have it all laid out and you can use it over and over and over again. Now you need the interventions. And I wish that we could have gone over all of them. I know that some people were asking about some other ones. Um, and I wish that we had more time. I would love to stay on because I could talk about this forever. Um, but you really need to know about the roadmap before you could get deep dive into these interventions. We talked about stopping the behavior before it even happens with using visual schedules. But there's so much more to that than just the individualized visual schedule we talked about. We talked about teaching new skills. So, whether you got those self management task boxes um, or you just have other ways to teach coping skills, you can use that as an intervention. But we also know that this doesn't work for all students. And there are ways to do this whole group so that you are not just doing this sporadically throughout the day. And number three, how to stop problem behavior once and for all. We talked about looking at the consequences and really being mindful of responding, not reacting. Now, there are two ways that you can learn about these interventions. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat this for you because the first way is the way that I went. First, you're going to have to find the strategies. You're going to have to spend more time figuring out what strategies are out there and actually work. And there's so much out there on social media, but a lot of it isn't even backed by research. Then you're going to have to do some trial and error, and there's going to be years that sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. And this is so time consuming. It took me 10 years to get to a place where I felt like my behavior toolbox was overflowing, which is why I created the easy way for you. I've compiled my over 10 years of collecting strategies into quick little wins so that you can fast track your way to filling your behavior toolbox. So tell me, which way would you rather go? The hard way or the easy way where you can work with me, have everything laid out, interventions all organized? Just think about it. How it would feel like if you have a new problem behavior and once you know that it becomes a pattern, you're going to have the tools and you're not going to be guessing or caught off guard. Which way would you choose? Easy, easy, easy. Yeah. You're like, what are you talking about? Make my life easier. I am a teacher. Well, you are invited to the Behavior Vault. The Behavior Vault is the only course of its type that gives you a systematic, step by step approach to dealing with problem behavior so you can be confident and empowered when dealing with problem behavior. You will go from having a couple tools in your toolbox to your toolboxes being overflowing. Imagine you have a kid, maybe he's biting his classmates, and you try the first thing that comes to mind. And then it doesn't work and you try the second. And now you have parents calling you. And at some point you might run out. But if you have all the strategies that I give you in the behavior vault, you are going to find the solution that much easier and you're going to stop the problem behavior. How many times has an entire year gone by and the students continue to have that problem behavior? And on the days they were absent, you might have been secretly doing a happy dance because it was just a little bit easier. It doesn't have to be this way. And I want to support you so that you can start eliminating problem behaviors at the beginning of the school year. One of the founding members said, "This course is a staple in understanding students' needs behaviorally and how to best support them using research based and data driven practices." So, what is in it? There are 5 different modules, and first off is setting the foundation. It's kind of like your cheat code about getting everything you need out of this course. It's not a course that you have to go module 1 through 5. And that module 1 is also going to help you know where to start based on the needs of your classroom. Module 2 is classroom wide strategies. So, this makes it obviously, if you can do things classroom wide, it's going to make it so much easier and save you so much time. Then, module 3, we're going to go into some laser focused small group supports. And module 4 is the bulkiest one. It's those individualized behavior intervention supports. And that's where you're really going to fill up your toolbox. And module 5 is using teamwork. You don't work in a bubble, we don't work in isolation. And that's going to help working with related service providers, paraprofessionals, everyone getting on the same page. There's also some troubleshooting and FAQs in there. So that is just pulling it all together. And really, this is like a grab and go style course because I know that you have really unique needs. And right now, you might be struggling with, as you're going into the school year, classroom wide strategies. You're thinking, what can I do to be proactive and stop them at classroom wide? And then maybe a month in, you realize you need those individualized behavior intervention supports. You can go in and pull out exactly what you need. So this is all valued at $800. You get those 5 modules, implementation techniques, and how-to videos. But you can get started today with either 2 payments of $51 or 1 payment of $97. And I'll have my friend drop it into the chat, or you can type in mrsmosmodifications.com/enroll. But I know that you can't do it with just the knowledge. You need the tools. So if you chose the hard way, you would have to go and you would have to find all the materials, figure out how they are going to work. But I provided a resource library for you that's going to support you in all the skills you're going to gain. So, what's in this resource library? So, there's $250 worth of materials. There's planning sheets, organizational toolkit, data collection sheets. You're going to have behavior charts and contracts. There's different social emotional learning task boxes, not the self management ones, but some different ones. There's adapted books and math task boxes because academics can cause behaviors, and using differentiated material can sometimes avoid some of that behavior. Visual supports, and so much more. And trust me here, I am not special. I don't have a magic wand to fix behavior in one day. even though I wish I did. I just have a specific proven skill set that I have used to help hundreds of students reach their full potential. And if I can learn it, so can you. So, in addition to that resource library that you are going to get at $250 value, there's also an exclusive Facebook group that is only for those who complete the course. So, imagine you go in, you watch a video, and you try it out, and it's not quite working. You can go into that group, ask a question, troubleshoot with other like-minded educators, get responses from me and those other educators that have gone through the same training you have. And on top of that, you're also going to get the professional certificate of completion that you can bring back to your school to show them all the hard work that you've done with this course. And that is valued at $100. And I just added this brand new bonus that I'm super excited about. So, anyone who has already been in the course already has gotten these totally for free. So I'm starting a library of guest trainings. So these are $100 value. Right now we have in there digital data collection and prompt hierarchy, and I have plans to add more. And but you guys would still get it for free if you enrolled today. Now, I have a it will work for me guarantee. So if you have gone in, looked at some of the strategies, realize this really isn't for you, you can have your money back within 7 days. And it will work for me, guarantee. So just to go over really quick, you get a resource library that has all of those supports that you need to make it successful. And then you're going to have exclusive Facebook group for those who complete the course, and that's lifetime value. Professional certificate of completion that's worth $100, and guest trainings valued at $100. And this is total value at $700. So, just a really brief review the 5 different modules: the setting the foundation, classroom wide strategies, small group supports, those individualized behavior intervention supports, and using teamwork. That total value is $800. So, putting it all together, it costs $1,500. But, like I said, I know that that is a lot of money. So I'm offering it today for $97. So when you're ready, you can either choose the 2 payments of $51 or the one payment of $97. And you can click on the link that I'm going to drop in the chat or type in mrsmosmodifications.com/enroll. But I just created a brand new store that I'm very excited to share with you. So it's not on Teachers Pay Teachers. It is my own on my own website. And if you sign up in the next 60 minutes, you're going to get $25 to shop in my store to get anything else you might need that's not in that resource library. So just a quick recap. This is what's going to look like when you go and you hit that enroll or the mrsmosmodifications.com/enroll. You can read through it all, learn all about the details, and you're going to be able to choose if you want a monthly payment of $51 or a one-time payment of $97. Fill in your details, and then you're going to be in. You're going to get an email and you are going to go get logged in. And when you dive in, the first thing is I created a little course video to welcome you in and some tips and tricks about how to just get the most out of the course because I love to take courses. So I have a few tricks up my sleeve that will help you get the most of it. So if you are ready to get started today, again, the link is mrsmosmodifications.com/enroll. You can choose the 2 payments of $51 or one payment of $97. And don't forget, if you purchase within the hour, you also get $25 to shop at my store as well. So let's talk about why you're here. You showed up today with so much on your already full plate. I know some of you are even probably starting this week. You might be tired after dealing of years with increasingly challenging behaviors. You're tired and you just need ways to make your life easier. Or maybe you're stressed. You're constantly battling problem behaviors and you just cannot keep on this path. Or maybe you're frustrated. You've used all the tools in your toolbox and nothing seems to work. And I get it. You might have your doubts. Totally understandable. You might think, I don't know if this will actually help my students. I can wholeheartedly say that if you join the Behavior Vault, you will have all the tools that you need to address the needs your students have. And if not, remember, there's that risk free guarantee. You go in there, poke around, and it realize, oh, it's not a good fit for you. You have 7 days to get your money back. You might thinking, I've already tried things. How will this be any different? There are so many in there. You're going to be adding to your toolbox, even if you have tried some already. It might not have worked because maybe you didn't have the right tools. Those tools are going, the resource library is going to be so crucial in why this is different. You are going to have those resources to support the knowledge that you're learning. You might be thinking, oh my gosh, Abby, I'm so busy. I don't have time for a course. Well, I want to tell you that this course, if you do want to watch it in its entirety, you can leave Friday after school, spend some of your weekend watching it, and come to school Monday refreshed. Um, and or you can just watch bite-sized pieces of it, whichever makes the most sense to you. And I know that you're busy. The platform that's hosted on is also has an app, so you can even be listening to it when you're doing other things. So when you're ready, I want you to go to mrsmosmodifications.com/enroll, and you can choose the two payments of $51 or one payment of $97. And again, I don't want you to forget about that fast action bonus that if you decide to enroll by, well, 10 p.m. my time, Eastern Standard Time, so an hour from now, you will be able to get $25 to my shop. And you get some bonuses because you stayed with me to the end. So you get that behavior navigator that I showed you that will help you with your roadmap. And you're going to get a certificate of completion for this hour that you can bring to your school and show them that you spent this time with me. Now, I know there were some questions, so let's dive in. Okay, so someone asked if I have a student that refuses to come in from recess and continues to elope and play. I really struggle to figure out how to get him to come inside. Please help. Oh, I have dealt with this so many times. Now, it might be for many different reasons. So you have to think about, is the student trying to just continue to have access to the playground? Are they really enjoying maybe you chasing them? So some things you can do, what I've done is I've brought out a lot of visuals. So I'll have, first recess, and then as soon as they come in, they get another reward. And, this just happened this year. I had a student, he was nonverbal, he was out on the playground, staying out there for a long time. And, we had a first recess, and then he could come in and I forget exactly what he was working for. And we had the visual, and he would come over and check with us throughout it. And we would remind him, as soon as you get in, you get this. And that worked for a little bit, but then he got confused. He thought as soon as he came over to us, he got that reward. So we actually had to have a three-step visual. So first, recess, then you walk back to the classroom, then you get your reward. And the teacher asked me, why is he getting a reward? There was already a reward for recess. It's like, oh, well, yes, but he's not coming in. So we have to motivate him to come in. So that's just one example of a strategy that you could use for that. But you can obviously always reach out for more because recess can be challenging, and I have lots of tricks for recess. um, okay, so someone said, I'm not sure if you can address this. I'm glad to be learning new strategies, but still concerned about the time it takes from the other kids. Totally get that. So, what I say is, you are going to spend your time with these students that have these problem behaviors, either when they're having the behaviors or teaching them new skills. And if you choose, just to deal with the problem behaviors, they're never going to get better. And you're just going to be super frustrated. So if you spend some time, maybe it's a small group. So maybe instead of that child's reading group for the day, you work maybe the first couple minutes on some coping strategies. That's how I would kind of get it in there to not take away time from the other students. A lot of the strategies that I have in the course are, some of them are really bite sized, that you can do really quickly, and it's not going to take a lot of time at all. Will this work for a classroom that is self-contained for social emotional behavior? 100%. So those classroom-wide strategies are going to work for you, as well as those individual behavior supports. They will both work, um, and you're going to get a lot out of that, definitely. Will this work in a pre-K class? So, yes, this will work in a pre-K class. I always say kindergarten to 3 because that really is the age that I work mostly with. We can chat more. Some of the resources, I wonder if they would be just a little bit too high, but the most of them would be able to be used in a preschool, but we can chat more about that as well. Okay. Oh, my class is K2 autism. Will this work for them? 100%. So I would say that for you, you're going to want to spend most time in module 4 and 5. So um, the getting the individualized behavior supports and the teamwork one. That's going to be super crucial for you. Um, that's going to be really crucial for you because if you have students that have severe needs, you're going to need the whole team on board, and that is sometimes the downfall. All right. Any other questions? I will stay on as long as people still have questions. You're so welcome for the information. I'm glad to have you here, and I love to chat about this. So don't forget about that fast action bonus. I don't want you to miss out on that if you choose to join. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks for coming. Okay, let's see. Oh, this roadmap is easier to navigate than what I went through 2 years ago to pretty much end up doing this. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I'm sorry it took you that long to get to here. I know it can be frustrating because we don't get this stuff in, we don't get any classes really on behavior in college. It's not fair. um, yes, this could help with seventh grade behavior issues. We can talk more, Lisa. I do worry that some of the materials might look too primary for your seventh grade. That would be, it's really the resource library that I worry about the most with getting too far outside. But the knowledge of the course videos, it can, I mean, my position is K-12, pre-K-12, and I use the same strategies. They just look different. Yes, you can share your favorite thing on Instagram. I would absolutely love that. Just make sure you tag me at Mrs. Mo's modifications, Mrs. underscore Mo's underscore modifications. Would love more information. My class is mostly older 4s and 5s, and we're seeing a lot of unwanted behaviors. How can this help? So this is going to help you a lot. You're going to be able to pull from probably every module with your classroom, if I had to guess. um, okay, this is a good follow-up question. Marsha, I'm not sure if you were the one who asked about recess. Do they receive the reward when they come in, even if it's way after the bell rang? This is a great question. Okay, so if we're thinking of the roadmap, the goal behavior, what we want them to do was the bell rings, they come right in. The replacement behaviors, we have to have little baby steps, right? So maybe the first time, um, it might take them 10 minutes, but they come in and you want them to learn, like, oh, you get, you know, this when you come in, when you listen to me. Um, we can't expect them to go from running around for 15 minutes to coming in 1 minute, right? That's probably not doable. You do have to put some parameters on it, but they have to learn that they're going to get something when they come in. So if you think about that visual with the rope and those little baby steps you have to take, so maybe, yeah, after 15 minutes the first day, it's better than 20 minutes that he was taking. And the next day, maybe 19. I mean, hopefully it's a lot shorter than that. I would not be pleased if I was out there every day for like 20, 19, 18, you know. But yes, sometimes, to go from a 20-minute running around the playground to 5 is a huge win. So we do want to reward that. How can we introduce this to gen ed teachers for more inclusive classrooms and with when co-teaching with gen ed? This can be tough. I co-taught for the majority of the time I was in the classroom, and it can be tough. And I think what I found was the most helpful is I said that there's that 60-year knowledge gap of behavior. And I think that that's just what it is. It's a knowledge gap. But if you, part of actually the teamwork goes over this, the last module, but just sharing the information and the knowledge and the why you're doing what you're doing, going over the roadmap with them will help them buy into it. So many times, I see special ed teachers just putting an intervention in place and not telling their co-teacher, why. And they get frustrated, like, why are they getting an extra break? They just destroyed my classroom. And so to really just explain that and have an open line of communication, that's how I found to be the most successful. um, for recess, I wonder about giving him a choice of 1 more minute to play and then trying to transition inside. Yes, you definitely can. I would probably do that. While the students are out there, I would say you have 1 more minute and then we're going in. And I also love to use timers. So I would also be using timers with this as well. Um, like I would just pull up my phone even. It's so nice that it's a visual um it's a visual timer now. So that's super helpful. Alrighty. Oh yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Oh no, Sherry, you're having trouble making it. Let's see. Maybe my friend Melanie who's on here will know an error, invalid account. Um, let's see if she knows because she is much more techy than I am. Maybe try again and then let me know if you are unable to get in. All right, so she decided send us an email. Send me an email. Send me an email. Do I have any other courses with Kajabi? Oh, no, she's asking you if you have any other courses. Sorry. So Sherry, if you have any other courses with Kajabi, maybe that is causing an error. I don't have any others. Definitely send me an email. Okay, so do the modules include behavior tracking and visuals? Yes. So there is, for anyone who's still in here, I can actually go right into the course. So, Michaela, let me show you. So, in the course, actually, in every single module 2, module 3, module 4 have different ways of tracking data. So, classroom wide, these targeted ones, and then the individualized. They are all have ways to collect data. So that's one thing. And then the other question you had, oh, the visuals. Okay, so what's great is up here, the resources, you just click here. And this They're also embedded in each lesson, but I wanted them to be easy for you to grab. So, look, visual supports, there's one visual support you just asked about. Um, there's the contracts, the SEL task boxes. See, you can see the different data sheets for depending on what you are trying to target. Token boards, more task boxes, adapted books, file folder activities, and the certificate of completion. I hope that helps. Let me know if you have any other questions. Oh, you want the link? You got the link there? Stay on for any other questions. Oh, great. Yeah, I just try to make it as easy as possible because I know if I'm not super organized, I never know where anything is, and then I get a million different things and of the same resource that I had. So let me know if there are any other questions specifically about the course or behavior in general. You're welcome. Thanks for coming and spending your evening with me. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for this training. Will you post more later in the year? Angela, do you mean more trainings? Is that what you're asking? I think that might be. So the answer is I'm not sure. So last year I did do behavior mini workshop trainings throughout the year. Um, but I am due in September, so I don't know. We'll see. How do we get the certificate of um completion? So the link to the training bonuses were just dropped in, but you'll also get them emailed if you didn't grab that link, but I will drop it again. How many time I have to take your course? Not sure what you mean, Norma. Can you ask that again? Oh, Tracy, welcome. I'm so excited to have you. Do have one final question. Let's see. I do have a kiddo who mimics a lot. Is there any resource that may help with that? He's also pretty hyperactive and sometimes aggressive. Okay, great question. So, those, a lot of them sound like symptoms to me. So, you got to figure out why he's doing that. So, I'm going to say yes. The answer is yes. But why is he doing that? Does he see that the student that he is mimicking is getting something? Maybe you are teaching that student, to go to the calming corner, and he's like, I want to go there, so I'm going to tip my table. Um, so that could be just possibly why. But yes, there will be different strategies depending on you just have to figure out the why. So use the behavior roadmap for him and then figure out the why. And then you'll go into the individualized behavior interventions, and there will be ones specifically for your why. Alrighty, let's see. You're so welcome. You're welcome. How long is your course going to be open? Do I have time to complete it once enrolled? So the course itself, you have lifetime access. I should have said that. I'm sorry. You have lifetime access to it. It's going to be open until the August 2nd. You have forever to take it, and you can rewatch as much as you want. Thanks, Mel. um, we have 3 students coming to fourth that prefer to wander the halls versus being in the room. Difficult to pin down why. So that is interesting. I have lots of questions about that. We can definitely even spend time talking about that if you join and go in the Facebook group. I would suggest spending some time observing. I know it's hard at the beginning of the year because you're trying to set up a lot of expectations, but you might need to really, tackle one at a time and really observe them and see again why it's happening. Are they trying to get out of the classroom? Are they going together and they're enjoying hanging out? our teachers saying, "Hey, what are you doing out here?" It could be a lot of different things, and it can be hard to pin down why. Um, let's see. Avoiding work is the main idea. Okay, so yeah, there's going to be a lot of different strategies um in that course as well that you can use for those kiddos. um how do you deal with mimicking students? So, just like Michaela asked, you have to figure out why they're mimicking. So, I've had students, mimic because they see that student get something. They see, and this can be challenging. You reward a student who has a lot of problem behavior normally. They finally do the right thing and you reward them. And other students are like, hey, wait a second. I am always doing the right thing and they get a reward. So there are a few ways, and I do talk about this, I go in depth in the course. One thing I do is I explain to those students, everyone's brain works differently. I go back to that like classroom wide strategies about, creating a certain culture in your classroom. Um, and or you might have students who you know, are doing it for another reason. And you just have to use that. I keep going back to the roadmap because it really is so important, but go back to that roadmap and figure out why they're doing it, because you're going to intervene differently. If they're doing it to maybe if they're making fun of that student and they're getting peer attention, you're going to intervene differently than if it's for something else. I hope that made sense. All righty. Any other questions? I'm here to answer them. I'm so excited for those of you who are in. You guys are welcome. Stay on a couple more minutes and then I will end this. So thank you. If you have any other questions, you can always shoot me a DM and I'm there for you as well. All right. Have a great night, everyone. Thank you so much. I'm so excited for you, those of you who are in the course already. Yay! I'll see you on the inside.